Hello everyone, it's Nick Lawson with cdc-TakeCharge software, and we are starting a new programming session. Today what we're going to look at is how to create a blackjack card game using xBasic in Alpha software. Now, let's take and look at our form, and we're just getting started on it, so it's pretty raw, but it'll give you an idea of what we're trying to do. So blackjack. Now, we have a green felt table and we got some controls on it. Before we actually look at what's going on, if you've been following on my blog, you know that I'm always stressing you should have a design document. Well, what I've done this time so that we can make sure that we stay on course with our application is I've created a document and linked it to a hotspot right on our form. Now, as I do work and I complete the application, I can bring it up, verify I'm getting it all done, go into edit mode and cross out what's been accomplished so I stay on point and ensure that I do actually get the application done. Pretty cool, and I recommend you do something like that if you're developing individually or as a group so everyone has access to the document and can edit it as the work gets done. Okay, on our form we have a dealer shoe, which is composed of two bitmaps. One is the backside of a card that always stays in position because the dealer shoe always has cards in it. The other is a hidden bitmap object which gets focused when the card is dealt, and it glides across the screen and goes to whatever position it's needed on and then flips over and shows the face value. Now, I do not have all the cards created as bitmaps, so we won't see the face values on the cards today, but you'll see the animation of the card moving. This button is just so that we can test that animation and make sure that the deck gets shuffled. Here you have a new game, number of decks, shuffle deck, and exit. And we have a player stats window, which as the game gets played, that information will display looking something like this as each hand gets played out. There'll also be some additional controls like score and so forth and so on, and maybe a reader board where you can see how you're comparing to other people to play the game. Okay, now when you get a deck of cards brand new, you open the cellophane, you take it out. In that deck, the cards start with hearts, then clubs, then diamonds, then spades. And the suits are 13 cards starting with the ace and ending with the king. So in essence, you know that card number 4 in your deck is going to be the 3 of hearts. Pretty simple. So let's start a new game. Now it says enter the number of players. Well, we're going to go with 2 because we're going to see some object attributes get changed with xBasic by doing that. Once this starts, you'll see it process the information of building the game over here. There you go. Now you can see that it said we're shuffling the decks 37 times and it's done. Now we have 2 players over here because we said we wanted 2 players. So that was the attributes I was talking about. The positions are already designed on the form, they're just hidden. So based on the number of players, each position will turn on or turn off so that the board only has the designated number of players available. Now, as I said, card number 4 would be the 3 of hearts. So let's go ahead and look for card number 4 and see what it is right now. There's our animation, and it is the 8 of diamonds. So our deck got shuffled pretty good. Okay, how is this done? Well, like I said, we don't have a whole lot that we can look at, but we're going to look at some of it. So let's go into design mode, and I'll basically show you the very beginnings of our design. Okay, so for new game, basically new game does everything. It sets the number of decks and then shuffles the decks, and it sets the number of players. So Starts out, we commit our form to make sure that it's not open in data entry mode. Then we set our text object, which is this object here, 35, to building a new deck. We open up our game deck and we zap our table. Now we set some variables and we set up our prompt to ask for the number of players. Once we have that using the UEGetNumber, which is a built-in Alpha software function, it's pretty easy to do. I could have written my own, but this works just fine. I may write my own later to make it look better, but for now that's what it is. We set the xBasic wait for idle to make sure that the application has caught up all of its screen processing before it goes to the next step. Now, we set number of decks to equal to number of players. If you're in Vegas and you're playing blackjack, they don't play with one or two decks. The more people that are at the table, the more decks that are in the shoe, because that keeps their odds of winning better and keeps card counters from actually doing a great job of counting cards. Okay, now we take and we build our game table. So we go through, we have some code that runs here, and we're using um, the table open method for our game table. We fetch first, change begin, make our changes, and change end. The reason we're doing change begin is because our table has one record in it and one record only. We never add any more records to it. Now we come down here, we take and we build our initial deck. And here's where we do an array. We step through and then we place the values for our game deck. Now I know I'm going through this very fast, but you'll be able to see how all this is actually written and use it, test it, play with it, do anything you want if you go over to our blog. So we get down here and then it takes and says preparing to shuffle, and it tells us the number of shuffles it's going to do. Then it assigns the players and opens up the number of positions on the board, and then we're done. You're ready to play. So see, it's pretty straightforward and fairly simple, and it's only 277 lines of code, and everything works. Now, again, I said you can go over to our blog, and the address for our blog is cdc-TakeCharge.wordpress.com. You'll see that in the display message below this video. So go on over, join a session, see what's going on, and I hope you learned something while you're there. Thanks again for stopping by and looking at this video. Have a great day.